Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the scent of cinnamon, warm and sweet, drifting through the air. Or perhaps the sharp, invigorating aroma of peppercorns. These familiar spices, found in kitchens around the world today, once represented immense wealth and unimaginable peril. You are about to embark on a journey, not across modern seas, but across vast ancient landscapes. We will travel back in time, to an era when daring traders risked everything to bring these precious commodities from the far corners of the earth. You will walk in their footsteps, feel the scorching sun, and hear the whispers of the desert wind. This is the story of those who braved the desolate death desert for the allure of spice, shaping civilizations with every grain of sand. Imagine you are standing in an ancient marketplace, not in a quiet village, but in a sprawling metropolis, a capital of antiquity. The air around you is thick with a tapestry of smells. You can detect the faint metallic tang of bronze, the earthy aroma of pottery, and the sweet, cloying perfume of exotic flowers. But cutting through it all, unmistakable and potent, is the heady fragrance of spices. You catch a whiff of frankincense, resinous and spiritual, mingling with the sharp, almost peppery scent of myrrh. Further on, a stall overflows with small, dark berries that release a pungent, warming aroma, peppercorns. This is not just a pleasant backdrop. It is the very breath of empire, the invisible aromatic testament to power and reach. You see merchants haggling fiercely, their voices a low murmur against the clamor of the crowd. Every small pouch, every sealed jar of spice, represents an astonishing amount of wealth. These were not mere flavorings for bland food. For the ancients, spices were medicine, capable of soothing ailments and warding off disease. They were powerful preservatives, essential for extending the life of precious meat and fish in a world without refrigeration. They were integral to religious ceremonies, their smoke rising to the gods, carrying prayers and pleas. And they were the ultimate status symbol, a tangible display of opulence and global connection. To offer a guest a dish flavored with cinnamon or to perfume your home with myrrh was to declare your prestige, your access to the furthest reaches of the known world. So, where did these extraordinary aromas originate? You might picture lush, tropical forests, far beyond the familiar Mediterranean shores or the Fertile Crescent. Think of distant lands, shrouded in mist and mystery, where the sun beats down on vibrant green leaves and the air is perpetually humid. These were places whispered about in legends, realms of exotic animals and peoples, accessible only through perilous journeys. From the monsoon-drenched coasts of India came the fiery kick of pepper and the golden hue of turmeric. From the islands of Southeast Asia, a world away, emerged the sweet, warming embrace of cloves and nutmeg, and the delicate, woody notes of cassia, often passed off as cinnamon. Each spice had its own story, its own distant home, making its arrival in a bustling market an almost miraculous event. To obtain even a small quantity of these precious commodities meant embarking on a truly epic endeavor. You would not simply stroll to a local store. Instead, you would become part of a vast, intricate network of trade routes, some stretching for thousands of miles, others crossing treacherous seas. The journey began in those far-off lands with the initial harvest and collection, often by local tribes who understood the secrets of their forests. Then the spices would begin their slow, deliberate passage, moving from hand to hand, from village to village, across rivers and over mountains, gradually making their way towards the Western civilizations that so desperately craved them. Imagine yourself as one of the key figures in this global tapestry, an ancient trader. Your task is not merely to buy and sell but to bridge vast distances, to connect worlds. You belong to a specialized class, a rare breed of merchant whose life is a constant gamble against nature, human greed, and the sheer immensity of the earth. Your reputation, your livelihood, your very existence hinges on your ability to navigate the unknown. For many of these spices, the final, most daunting leg of their journey involved an overland passage through some of the most unforgiving terrain on the planet. This was the realm of the Death Desert, a name not given lightly. You feel the sun, a relentless hammer striking down from a sky of blinding white. The air shimmers with heat, distorting the horizon into an endless, mocking mirage. This is not a barren landscape of occasional dunes. This is an ocean of sand and rock stretching further than the eye can see, devoid of water, shelter, or any sign of life. You are part of a caravan, a moving island of resilience in this sea of desolation. Your companions are seasoned travelers, their faces weathered by sun and wind, their eyes constantly scanning the vast expanse. Camels, the ships of the desert, groan under their heavy loads, their padded feet silently crunching over the parched earth. Each animal carries not only precious spices but also vital supplies: colossal water skins, carefully preserved food, spare parts for equipment, and defensive weapons. This is not a quick dash. It is a methodical, grueling marathon that can last for weeks, sometimes months. The dangers are manifold. Beyond the sheer physical toll of heat stroke and dehydration, you must contend with the ever-present threat of bandits. Marauding tribes know these routes well, lying in wait to ambush unsuspecting caravans, eager to seize the portable wealth you carry. You sleep with one eye open, the desert wind carrying unsettling whispers, the distant howl of a jackal sounding like a warning. Navigation is an art, not a science, relying on the stars, the subtle shifts in sand dunes, and generations of accumulated knowledge passed down through oral tradition. A single wrong turn could mean certain death, leaving your bones to bleach under the merciless sun. Yet you persist. Why? Because the rewards, if you succeed, are monumental. The profit margins on spices were astronomical, sometimes increasing by thousands of % from their point of origin to their final sale in Rome, Antioch, or Alexandria. A successful journey could make you a rich man, elevating your family's status and securing their future for generations. The risks were high, but the potential gains were transformative. You are not merely transporting goods. You are transporting culture, connecting empires, and fueling economies. Each grain of pepper, each piece of cinnamon bark, represents a thread in the intricate tapestry of ancient globalization. The cities you visit thrive on this trade. Ports swell with ships, markets burst with activity, and palaces are built from the profits generated by these aromatic treasures. The scent of cinnamon in a Roman villa, or the aroma of myrrh burning in an Egyptian temple, is a direct link to the courage and endurance of traders like you, who stared down the immense challenges of the Death Desert. You are the unsung heroes who literally put the spice in the empires of old, shaping history with every difficult step across the sand. You stand at the edge of the known world, where the cultivated lands give way to an endless expanse of sand. This is the Death Desert, a name whispered with reverence and dread across all the ancient trade routes. The air shimmers not with the promise of rain, but with the illusion of water, a cruel trick of the sun on the shimmering dunes. Before you lies a silence so profound it seems to absorb all sound, a vast, indifferent ocean of sand. This is where your true journey begins, and where the mettle of every trader is tested to its absolute limit. The first enemy you face is the sun itself. It beats down relentlessly from a sky of blinding blue, an immense furnace that bakes the earth and drains the very moisture from your body. You feel its oppressive weight on your shoulders, a constant, wearying presence. The air you breathe is hot, dry, and thick with the dust kicked up by your caravan. Even in the pre-dawn hours, the desert retains the heat of the day before, offering little respite. As the sun climbs, the temperature rises to unimaginable levels, easily surpassing 50 degrees Celsius in the shade if you could find any. Your skin feels like parchment, your lips crack, and a persistent thirst begins to gnaw at you, a warning of the dangers ahead. Water is life, and in this realm of peril, water is your most precious cargo, more valuable than any spice you carry. Each skin, each amphora, is guarded fiercely. Miscalculate your supply and your journey ends not with profit, but with a slow, agonizing demise. You learn to ration every drop, to moisten your mouth with a stone, To resist the urge to drink deeply, knowing that future moments will be even more desperate. Your entire survival hinges on the precise calculation of water needs for yourself, your guides, and most importantly, your animals. Your steadfast companions are the dromedaries, the ships of the desert. These magnificent creatures are built for this harsh environment, their broad, leathery feet splayed to distribute weight and prevent sinking into the soft sand. They can store water and endure days without drinking, but even their endurance has limits. You watch them carefully, scanning for signs of fatigue, for the subtle tremor in their legs or the dullness in their eyes that signals impending collapse. Losing a camel means losing precious cargo, or worse, losing your means of transport, stranding you in the heart of the desolate waste. The well-being of your animals is paramount. Their groans and grunts are the only sounds breaking the deep silence, aside from the creak of leather and the rustle of your own footsteps. Navigation in this featureless expanse is an art form, a science passed down through generations of desert dwellers. There are no signposts, no well-worn roads in the conventional sense. Your guides, often Bedouin or other indigenous peoples intimately familiar with the desert's moods, read the landscape like an open book. They interpret the subtle shifts in sand dunes, the direction of the wind, the patterns of the stars at night. They know the location of every hidden oasis, every brackish well, every ancient cairn marking a hazardous pass. Your life is literally in their hands, dependent on their acute observation and deep ancestral knowledge. A wrong turn here is not merely a delay, it is a death sentence. The sand itself is a formidable adversary. Beneath your feet, it is soft and yielding, making every step a struggle. Sometimes a sudden gust of wind whips up the fine grains, transforming the clear sky into a swirling, suffocating tempest. A sandstorm, the dreaded samum, can descend with terrifying speed, blinding you, filling your lungs, and burying everything in its path. You seek shelter immediately, huddling with your animals, covering your face, and praying for its swift passage. These storms can last for hours, even days, disorienting you, burying caches of supplies, and erasing any trace of your path. Emerging from a samum, you might find the landscape utterly transformed, forcing your guides to reorient themselves from scratch. Mirages are another insidious foe, playing tricks on your desperate mind. You see shimmering lakes, distant palm trees, the inviting glint of water, only for them to vanish into thin air as you approach, leaving behind only more endless sand. These optical illusions can break the spirit, leading exhausted travelers astray, chasing phantoms until their strength gives out. The desert preys not just on your body but on your sanity, whispering false promises into your parched ears. Beyond the natural perils there are human threats. The vastness of the desert offers perfect cover for those who prey on the vulnerable. Bands of raiders, sometimes known as ghouls or shufta, lie in wait near known waterholes or along narrow passes. They are as much a part of the desert landscape as the dunes themselves, lean and hardened by the environment. For them, your caravan is a treasure trove of goods, animals, and even people. You travel with armed guards, vigilant day and night, their eyes constantly scanning the horizon for any sign of movement, any dust cloud that might not be the wind. The silence of the desert can be deceptive. A sudden attack can erupt from seemingly nowhere, transforming your disciplined procession into a chaotic struggle for survival. Lives are lost, goods are plundered, and sometimes the entire caravan is destroyed. The nights offer a different kind of challenge. While the temperature drops dramatically, bringing a welcome coolness, the darkness is absolute and profound. Under a canopy of countless stars, the desert becomes a realm of unseen movements and unsettling sounds. The howl of a jackal, the rustle of a scorpion, the distant cry of a desert fox. Each sound is amplified in the vast quiet, playing on your nerves. You gather around small fires, drawing comfort from the flickering flames, but always with one ear open, one eye on the periphery. Sleep is a necessity but never truly deep, always shadowed by the awareness of your isolation and vulnerability. Every evening you make camp with painstaking precision. The animals are tethered, water is rationed, and a simple meal of dried dates, salted meat, or flatbread is shared. There is a camaraderie born of shared hardship, a bond among those who face such immense odds together. Stories are whispered, prayers are offered, and the plans for the next day's grueling march are discussed. The routines bring a semblance of order to the chaos of the environment, a small bubble of human control against the overwhelming indifference of the desert. The cumulative toll of this journey is immense. Exhaustion is a constant companion, a heavy cloak that wraps around you, making every step a monumental effort. Dehydration saps your strength, clouding your judgment. Hunger becomes a dull ache, a constant reminder of your precarious existence. You push your body and mind beyond what you thought possible, driven by the immense value of your cargo and the promise of a prosperous return. You are not just a merchant. You are an explorer, a survivor pushing the boundaries of human endurance. Each oasis reached, each well found, each mountain pass safely traversed, is a small victory against the colossal forces arrayed against you. The silence of the sands, though often menacing, also offers a unique kind of introspection. Stripped bare of the comforts of civilization, you confront your own limits, your fears, and your deepest desires. The desert shapes you, transforming you from a mere trader into something more. It etches lines onto your face, hardens your resolve, and sharpens your senses. You learn to read the smallest signs, to trust your instincts, and to appreciate the profound preciousness of life and water. This is not just a trade route. It is a crucible, forging character in the unforgiving heat and silence. You become intimately familiar with the desert's rhythm, its cruelties, and its occasional breathtaking beauty, like the sunrise painting the dunes in hues of gold and rose. This realm of peril is not merely a barrier to be overcome. It is an intrinsic part of the journey's value. The dangers amplify the worth of the spices you carry. Each pinch of saffron, each stick of frankincense, carries with it the unseen stories of scorching sun, desperate thirst, and vigilant nights under the vast, star-dusted sky. The very difficulty of the journey imbues your cargo with an almost mystical power, making it coveted in distant lands, a symbol of exotic adventure and immense wealth. You are the bridge across this perilous gap, the living embodiment of courage and perseverance, bringing the treasures of one world to the awaiting markets of another. You are the embodiment of that courage, that perseverance. You are one of them. You are a desert nomad. Your life began with the desert's vastness stretching out before you, an endless horizon under an immense sky. From your earliest memories, the wind has been a constant companion, shaping the dunes and whispering ancient tales. You learn to read the shifting sands like a book, to decipher the subtle language of the desert floor, to recognize the tracks of every creature, to predict the coming storms from a change in the air's scent. This is not knowledge learned in a quiet schoolroom. It is a wisdom etched into your very being by the sun, the wind, and the relentless journey. Your home is where your feet are, where your camel rests. You know the exact moment to break camp before dawn, when the stars are still sharp diamonds in the inky blackness, but the eastern horizon is already hinting at the sun's fiery arrival. You rise, shaking off the desert's chill, the taste of dust still lingering on your tongue. The first task is to tend to your camels, the magnificent ships of this sandy sea. You check their saddles, their water skins, their feed. A camel is more than a beast of burden. It is your lifeline, your companion, your most valued possession. You understand its moods, its stubbornness, its incredible resilience. As the sun begins its ascent, casting long, dramatic shadows across the dunes, the caravan stirs to life. A symphony of sounds fills the pre-dawn air, the low grumbling and snorting of camels, the clinking of metal on leather, the soft murmur of voices, the crackle of a dying campfire. You help lash down the precious cargo, securing each bale of spices, each jar of oil, each bundle of textiles. The aroma of frankincense and myrrh, of pepper and cinnamon, hangs heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the fortune you carry, a fortune that will change hands in distant lands. The journey begins. You settle into the familiar rhythm of the march, the gentle sway of the camel beneath you. Your eyes scan the horizon, not for landmarks that might exist in a settled world, but for the subtle undulations of the dunes, the distant glint of a rock formation, the almost imperceptible changes in the sand's color that indicate a specific region. You navigate by instinct and by generations of accumulated wisdom. At night, the stars become your map. The North Star is your unwavering guide, but you know the patterns of countless constellations, their slow dance across the firmament revealing your path with silent precision. You are a living compass, your senses honed to the desert's every nuance. The days are long, an endless expanse of sun-drenched sand and sky. The heat can be brutal, the glare blinding. You learn to conserve every drop of water, to ration every morsel of food. Thirst becomes a constant companion, a dull ache that reminds you of your vulnerability. Yet there is a profound beauty in this harsh environment. The stark lines of the dunes, ever shifting, ever sculpted by the wind, create landscapes of breathtaking grandeur. Sunrises and sunsets paint the sky with colors so vivid they seem to defy description. Crimson, orange, violet, gold. At night, the desert transforms into a cool, silent realm, the air crisp and clean, the Milky Way a brilliant river of light overhead, stretching from one edge of the world to the other. But the beauty is often interspersed with danger. You live with the ever-present threat of sandstorms. One moment, the sky is clear. The next, a wall of dust rolls towards you, engulfing everything in a suffocating, disorienting haze. You learn to quickly dismount, to protect your camels and your cargo, to hunker down and wait, sometimes for hours, for the storm to pass. The sand whips at your skin, fills your nostrils and mouth, and leaves you feeling scoured clean but shaken. Then there are the human dangers. Not everyone who travels the desert does so with honorable intentions. Raiders, desperate men or rival tribes, lie in wait, their eyes set on the valuable cargo you transport. Your caravan is always prepared, always vigilant. Scouts range ahead and behind, their sharp eyes missing nothing. You carry a weapon, not out of aggression but out of necessity, a silent promise to protect what is yours and what belongs to the collective. Every member of the caravan understands this shared responsibility, this unspoken pact of defense. Finding water is perhaps the most critical skill. Oases are few and far between, and some dry up without warning. You know the ancient wells, the hidden springs, the subtle signs that betray the presence of life-sustaining water beneath the parched earth. A cluster of palms, a certain type of scrub brush, a change in the flight path of birds, these are the clues you seek. The discovery of a reliable water source is a moment of profound relief, a shared sigh of gratitude that ripples through the entire caravan. Here you will rest, replenish, and prepare for the next leg of the relentless journey. Life in the caravan fosters a unique bond, a deep sense of community. You are a family forged by shared hardship and common purpose. Around the nightly campfire after the evening prayers, stories are told. Tales of legendary journeys, of daring escapes, of encounters with ancient spirits. Songs are sung, their melodies echoing the vast loneliness of the desert and the enduring spirit of its people. You share meals, often simple but made flavorful by the companionship. Laughter rings out, a defiant sound against the silence of the wilderness. This communal spirit is what sustains you, what gives you strength when your body aches and your spirit falters. Every step you take, every grain of sand that sifts beneath your feet, carries the weight of purpose. You are not just moving goods, you are connecting worlds. The distant markets, with their clamoring crowds and exotic goods, feel a lifetime away. But the whispers of fortune are ever present. You dream of the moment you will reach your destination, of the silver and gold that will exchange hands for the spices you have so painstakingly brought across this formidable landscape. This wealth represents more than just riches. It signifies security for your family, the ability to buy land, to build a home, to ensure your children's future. It is the promise of a better life, earned through courage, skill, and enduring patience. The spices themselves are not merely commodities. Each precious granule of black pepper, each aromatic strand of saffron, each resinous chunk of frankincense holds the essence of a distant, magical land. You know the stories of their origins, the laborious processes of their harvest. You carry the warmth of the sun-drenched groves, the skilled hands of those who cultivated them, the prayers of those who used them in sacred rituals. Their value is magnified by the incredible journey they undertake, their scarcity a testament to the risks involved in bringing them to foreign tables and temples. Imagine the feel of the rough, woven sacks, heavy with their fragrant bounty. The sweet, pungent scent of cinnamon, the fiery kick of dried chili, the musky earthiness of cumin. These are the treasures that fuel empires, that flavor the feasts of kings, that perfume the homes of the wealthy, and that are used in the most sacred of ceremonies. You are the vital link in this chain, the unseen hand that brings these wonders from their source to the eager grasp of those who desire them. Without your tireless efforts, without your willingness to brave the desert's embrace, these luxuries would remain forever out of reach, mere legends whispered in the wind. After weeks, sometimes months, the first signs of civilization begin to appear. The air changes, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke, perhaps the distant bleating of goats. A lone palm tree, then a cluster, breaking the endless horizon. Your heart quickens. The caravan picks up its pace, the camels sensing the end of their arduous trek. The discipline of the road begins to loosen, replaced by an excited buzz. You have faced the desert's wrath and emerged victorious. The anticipation is a palpable thing, almost as intoxicating as the thought of the clean water and soft bed that await. You are nearing the gates of a bustling city, ready to unload your precious cargo, ready to tell your tales, ready to reap the rewards of your incredible odyssey. You have transcended the physical journey. You are not just a trader, you are a storyteller, a living legend to those who dwell in the fertile lands, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Your presence in the market is a spectacle, a connection to the wild, mysterious places beyond the known world. You bring not just spices but wonder, awe, and the very taste of adventure to the heart of civilization. Your whispers of fortune become the shouts of success. Your triumph echoes through the bustling markets, a symphony of successful trade and whispered legends. But even as the coins clink in your purse and the stories of your harrowing journey spread, a different rhythm begins to assert itself. The desert, though conquered for now, perpetually calls. The thirst for new opportunities, new spices, new routes, is an ancient current running through your blood. This cycle of departure and return is the very heartbeat of your existence. Soon, your gaze will turn from the comforts of the city back to the endless sands, to the stark beauty and unforgiving nature of the wilderness. Before you can embark on another odyssey, before you can dream of the next fortune, comes the meticulous, often mundane, yet utterly critical phase of preparation. This is where success is truly forged, not in the crossing, but in the painstaking details that precede it. This is where you confront the unseen challenges, the silent threats, and arm yourself against the desert's relentless indifference. The first and most vital component of any desert expedition is not your own courage, nor the value of your goods, but the magnificent, patient creature that will carry you and your dreams across the vast emptiness. The camel. More than a beast of burden, it is your ship of the desert, your lifeline, your most trusted companion. Without the right camels, your journey is doomed before it even begins. Selecting your camels is an art passed down through generations. You scrutinize each animal with an expert eye. You seek out those with strong, unblemished legs, broad feet that can splay across soft sand, and firm, healthy humps, rich with stored fat. A good desert camel is not just strong. It possesses an almost preternatural calm, a resilience that mirrors your own. You observe their gait, their temperament, their history. Is it a proven survivor of long treks? Does it shy at shadows, or does it meet your gaze with quiet endurance? Once chosen, your camels enter a period of intense preparation. They must be conditioned, their bodies hardened for the unimaginable strains ahead. Their diet is carefully managed, designed to build up their reserves. They are gradually introduced to heavy loads, practicing with sacks of sand or grain, ensuring their muscles strengthen and their backs become accustomed to the constant pressure. Each camel must be given a name, a unique identity, for you will come to know its every mood, its every subtle complaint, its every unspoken need. You will develop a bond, a silent understanding essential for survival. Then comes the burden itself. Loading a camel is a precise science. The weight must be distributed perfectly, balanced not just from side to side, but from front to back. Imagine 200 pounds of spices on one side, counterbalanced by an equal measure of dried dates and water skins on the other. An uneven load will chafe, injure, and eventually incapacitate your precious animal, endangering the entire caravan. You carefully arrange bales of textiles, bundles of frankincense, jars of oils, each secured with strong hand-tied knots that will not loosen over weeks of relentless travel. The ropes themselves are a marvel of desert craft, tough and resilient, able to withstand the scorching sun and abrasive sand. The camel's saddle, too, is more than just a seat. It is a carefully crafted piece of equipment, designed for comfort for both rider and animal over thousands of miles. Padded with layers of felt or animal hide, it prevents painful sores and distributes weight evenly. You check the girths, ensuring they are snug but not too tight, understanding that a small oversight here can lead to a debilitating injury for your camel, and potentially disaster for your journey. Bells are often attached to the lead camel, their gentle rhythmic chime a constant reassurance, a warning to others and a hypnotic soundtrack to the unending trek. Beyond the camels, your own provisions demand meticulous attention. Water is life itself in the desert, and every skin, every jar must be filled, inspected for leaks, and accounted for. You calculate rations with grim precision. Dried fruits, hardened bread, salted meat, enough to sustain your team for the estimated duration of the journey, plus a crucial reserve for unforeseen delays. Cooking pots, small and sturdy, are packed alongside fuel for fires, often dried camel dung or scarce desert scrub. Navigation in a land without roads or signposts relies on ancient wisdom. You study the constellations, learning to identify Polaris, the North Star, which remains fixed while others wheel around it. You know the phases of the moon, which can offer precious light for night travel. During the day, the sun's arc across the sky, combined with the subtle shifts in sand dunes and rock formations, becomes your compass. Your experienced guides carry mental maps far more detailed than any parchment, knowing the location of every hidden well, every sheltered wadi, every treacherous patch of quicksand. But even with the best preparations, the desert always holds its unseen dangers. Sandstorms can materialize from nowhere, transforming the landscape into a blinding, suffocating chaos. You pack heavy cloaks to shield your face and eyes, and you practice setting up makeshift shelters to protect yourselves and your animals. You prepare for the searing heat, carrying wide-brimmed hats and loose-fitting clothing to protect against sunstroke. The cold desert nights are just as perilous, and warm blankets are essential. Then there are the less predictable threats. Banditry is a constant menace on trade routes, and your caravan must be adequately guarded. Weapons, carefully maintained and ready, are part of the essential equipment. But diplomacy and negotiation are often more potent tools than steel, and you prepare gifts for potential tribal leaders whose territories you must cross, seeking safe passage and minimizing conflict. Medical supplies are rudimentary but vital. Pouches of dried herbs, salves for wounds, bandages woven from tough fibers. These are your desert pharmacy. You learn to recognize the signs of snakebite or scorpion sting, to administer first aid, and to pray for quick recovery. A skilled healer is a prized member of any large caravan. Psychologically, you must steel yourself. The desert demands immense patience, unwavering resolve, and a profound acceptance of its power. You prepare for loneliness, for the crushing monotony of days blurring into weeks, for moments of despair when water runs low or a camel falters. You mentally rehearse the challenges, envisioning successful navigation through a storm, finding a hidden spring, overcoming an obstacle. The final element of preparation is perhaps the most personal, the most deeply ingrained. It is the silent ritual of checking your own resolve. You look at your family, understanding the risks you undertake, the months you will be absent. You speak with elders, receiving their blessings and their warnings. You offer prayers for a safe journey, for guidance through the trackless wastes, for the protection of your precious cargo and your even more precious lives. Every rope, every water skin, every packed spice, every trained camel, every whispered prayer, each is a thread woven into the tapestry of your survival. The market's clamor fades, replaced by the desert's quiet demand for absolute readiness. This painstaking prelude, this deep immersion into the details of survival, transforms a mere journey into a well-orchestrated ballet against the elements. You are not just preparing to travel, you are preparing to live, to endure, to outwit the very landscape itself. The unseen forces of the desert await, and you are, as ever, ready to meet them. The morning air still holds the cool breath of night, a final concession from the world you are leaving behind. You feel the tremor through the packed earth beneath your feet, not of an earthquake but of anticipation, of many hooves and many feet preparing to move as one. The last star fades, swallowed by the growing light that promises the searing heat of the desert sun. You take a deep breath, smelling not the exotic perfumes of the souk, but the dry dust already kicking up, the distinct animal scent of 100 camels, and the lingering smoke of cooking fires that have fueled the final preparations. A command, sharp and clear, cuts through the low murmur of men and beast. It is time. You watch as the lead camel, majestic and stoic, takes its first deliberate step, followed by another and another, until the entire line begins to snake forward. The soft padding of their broad feet on the gritty soil creates a rhythmic hush, a counterpoint to the creak of leather, the jingle of bells, and the hushed voices of the men around you. You are part of this living river, flowing out from the gates of the city, leaving behind the protective walls and the familiar sounds of human settlement. The city shrinks behind you, its mud brick walls blurring into the rising haze. The date palms, once a comforting canopy, become distant green smudges on the horizon. The chatter of the marketplace, the cries of children, the barking of dogs, all recede into an echo, replaced by the profound silence of the open land. This is the liminal space, the threshold where the known world dissolves into the vast, uncharted expanse. Here the rules change. Here you are a mere speck, subject to the whims of an unforgiving yet strangely beautiful master. You walk with purpose, your stride measured, your eyes scanning the horizon. The ground beneath your feet transitions from packed earth to loose gravel, then to wind-sculpted sand. The colors shift subtly. The ochre of the city walls gives way to 1,000 shades of brown, tan, and the occasional flash of shimmering white where salt flats bake under the sun. The air grows drier, stealing the moisture from your lips, urging you to reach for the water skin already swaying at your hip. Each sip is a reminder of the precious commodity you carry, a vital link to life itself. The first day is a test of discipline, a reassertion of the rhythm of the road. You must find your pace, settle into the monotonous yet essential cadence of the march. The sun climbs higher, beating down with an intensity that seems to press you into the earth. You feel the warmth radiate through the thick fabric of your robes, a constant presence, a reminder that you are entering its domain. Your eyes narrow, adjusting to the glare, learning to discern the subtle undulations of the landscape, the telltale shimmer of heat haze distorting the distant view. This is not just walking, this is an immersion. The desert slowly begins to seep into your bones, into your mind. You learn to read the slight shifts in the wind, the way the sand drifts, the faint traces of ancient pathways that are almost invisible to the untrained eye. These are the veins of the earth, the arterial routes that have carried life and commerce through this harsh land for millennia. You are not forging a new path, you are joining a timeless procession, stepping into the footprints of countless traders who came before you. Perhaps you spot a weathered cairn, a pile of stones placed by hands long gone, marking a safe passage or a hidden water source. These humble markers are your ancestors' silent whispers, guiding you, reassuring you. You understand that this journey is not just about moving from one point to another, it is a pilgrimage through history, a living connection to the past. The dust you kick up has been disturbed by generations of travelers. The air you breathe has carried their hopes, their fears, their laughter, and their prayers. The landscape itself becomes a character, not a static backdrop. It changes subtly, revealing new contours, new textures, new challenges with every mile. You pass by jagged rock formations, sculpted by wind and sand into fantastical shapes that spark the imagination. You see hardy desert flora clinging to life in unexpected crevices, their tenacity a testament to survival. A lone bird circles high above, a silent sentinel, its presence a stark contrast to the emptiness below. As the sun begins its descent, casting long, dramatic shadows across the dunes, the temperature begins to fall. The golden light softens, painting the desert in hues of orange, purple, and deep red. The air grows cooler, a welcome relief, but you know this comfort is fleeting. The desert's nights can be brutally cold, a stark reminder of its dual nature, searing heat by day, chilling cold by night. You have left the world of comfortable predictability behind. The caravan finds a suitable spot for the night, a sheltered hollow or a rise that offers a vantage point. The sounds change again. The rhythmic padding of feet gives way to the grunt of camels as they kneel, the creak of saddles being removed, the murmur of men setting up camp. Fires are lit, their flames dancing against the deepening twilight, a beacon of human presence in the immense darkness. The scent of wood smoke mingles with the dry desert air, a comforting aroma. You help unload, secure the camels, and set up your own small space. There is a quiet efficiency to these tasks, born of long experience and necessity. Every movement is purposeful, conserving energy. You watch the stars begin to emerge, one by one, then by the thousand, a brilliant canopy undimmed by city lights. They are not just twinkling decorations, they are your ancient navigation charts, your companions, your silent witnesses. Dinner is simple but sustaining. Dates, dried meat, flatbread baked on hot stones, and strong tea. Conversations are hushed, often about the day's progress, the condition of the animals, or the weather forecast. But mostly there is a shared silence, a communion with the vastness around you. You feel a profound sense of isolation, yet also an undeniable bond with the men who share this arduous journey. You are all dependent on each other, a small, fragile community against the immensity of the desert. As you settle down for the night, wrapped in your thick blankets, the desert whispers. The wind rustles through sparse scrub, carrying the faint cry of a distant night creature. The sand shifts almost imperceptibly. You are acutely aware of your vulnerability but also of your strength, your resilience. You have taken the first steps, not just across a physical landscape but into a different state of being. The city, its comforts, its distractions already feel like a distant dream. Here, under the boundless sky, your senses sharpen. Your hearing picks up the smallest sounds. Your eyes, accustomed to the darkness, begin to see the subtle details of the moonlit landscape. Your mind quietens, shedding the extraneous thoughts of the everyday world. What remains is a profound focus on the immediate: survival, direction, the next horizon. This is the desert's lesson, delivered in its own stern, uncompromising voice. The journey has begun in earnest. You are a part of the caravan, a link in a chain stretching back thousands of years. The weight of your cargo, the spices that represent your family's future, feels heavier now, but so does the weight of your determination. You close your eyes, the cool desert air on your face, the rhythmic breathing of the camels nearby, the faint crackle of the embers. You sleep, preparing for another day, another segment of the veins of the earth, another step deeper into the heart of the desert. You wake not to the gentle kiss of dawn, but to its fierce embrace. The faint crackle of embers from the night before is now a memory, replaced by the rapidly intensifying heat. The first blush of orange on the horizon quickly explodes into a relentless, searing white. This is the desert's morning greeting, a stark reminder of the furnace that awaits. You push yourself up, your muscles protesting after a restless sleep on the hard ground. The cool air that offered such solace hours ago is rapidly retreating, replaced by a growing warmth that promises to become a torment. You feel the grit of sand on your skin and your hair, a constant companion that will cling to you throughout the long day. Around you the camp stirs. Figures emerge from their wraps, moving with a practiced efficiency born of countless sunrises in this unforgiving land. The air fills with the low grumbles of camels as they are roused, their deep-seated resilience preparing for another day of burden. Your throat feels dry, a persistent scratch that only a small measured sip of precious water can momentarily alleviate. Every drop is carefully counted, every gulp a conscious act of conservation. The sun climbs higher, a blazing eye opening fully to survey its domain. Its light is not merely illumination, it is a physical presence, pressing down, radiating heat that seems to suck the moisture from your very bones. The vast, open sky, so inviting and mysterious under the moon, now feels like an enormous magnifying glass, focusing every ray onto the exposed landscape. You join the others in breaking camp. Tents are expertly collapsed, their thick fabrics quickly folded and lashed to the waiting camels. The air is already shimmering above the sand, distorting the distant dunes into wavering mirages. You tighten the ropes on your own camel's load, checking the precious cargo of spices one last time. Frankincense, myrrh, pepper. The fragrances, though sealed, are a subtle promise of distant markets and comfortable futures, a powerful motivator against the immediate hardship. The caravan forms its line. The lead guide, a man whose face is etched with the wisdom of 1,000 journeys, points forward. His eyes, though squinting against the glare, hold an unwavering resolve. You fall into place, your feet beginning the familiar shuffle across the ever-shifting sand. Each step raises a puff of fine dust, coating your already dry lips with another layer of grit. The hours stretch out, an endless procession of heat and sand. The sun beats down with an almost malicious intensity, baking the very air you breathe. You feel the sweat trickle down your back, evaporating almost instantly, leaving behind a salty residue. Your skin feels tight, your lips cracked, despite your best efforts to keep them moistened. The simple act of walking becomes a monumental effort, your legs growing heavy, your resolve tested with every passing minute. The desert is a master of monotony. Dune after dune, horizon after horizon, each appearing identical to the last, yet subtly different. It is a landscape designed to break the spirit, to make you question your purpose, your sanity, your very will to continue. But you resist. You focus on the rhythmic sway of the camel ahead, the steady crunch of sand beneath your worn sandals. You draw strength from the silent determination of your fellow traders, a shared understanding that binds you together in this crucible. Thirst becomes a constant companion, a low thrumming ache in your throat that demands attention. You learn to ignore it, to push it to the back of your mind, knowing that to dwell on it is to invite despair. The small sips of water from your leather flask are not for pleasure, but for survival, carefully portioned to last until the next well, which could be days away. The very thought of a cool, clear spring is a powerful fantasy, a vision you cling to when the heat threatens to overwhelm you. Your vision blurs at the edges from the glare. The air itself seems to dance, creating deceptive pools of water that vanish as you approach. These mirages are a cruel trick of the light, a constant reminder of what you crave and what is denied. You learn to mistrust your own eyes, to rely instead on the unwavering direction of the guides, whose knowledge of the desert's hidden pathways and treacherous terrain is paramount. The weight of your clothing, though designed for protection, feels oppressive. The thick head covering, meant to shield you from the sun, traps the heat close to your skin. Yet, you dare not remove it, for the sun's direct assault would be far worse. Your hands, calloused and toughened by labor, grip the lead rope of your camel, a constant connection to your animal, your burden, and your hope. The camels themselves are marvels of endurance. Their broad, leathery feet spread to navigate the soft sand, their humps a reserve of fat that fuels their tireless journey. They seem to move with an ancient wisdom, their slow, steady pace an example of unwavering resolve. You watch them, drawing strength from their stoicism, their ability to carry immense loads across this barren expanse without complaint. They are not merely beasts of burden, they are partners in this perilous venture. Conversations are sparse during the day's march. Energy is conserved, voices are kept low, hushed against the vastness of the desert. Occasionally, a shared glance, a small nod of acknowledgement, communicates more than words ever could. You are a unit, a living organism moving across an alien landscape, each part reliant on the others for survival. A momentary lapse in attention, a stumble, a broken strap, any one of these can have serious consequences. Vigilance is not a choice, it is a fundamental requirement. As the sun begins its slow descent, the intensity of the heat begins to ease, ever so slightly. The long shadows stretch across the dunes, offering the first real sense of relief since dawn. Your body aches, your mind feels dulled by the constant struggle, but a faint sense of accomplishment begins to settle over you. Another day traversed, another segment of the journey conquered. The search for a suitable campsite begins. A slight depression in the sand, offering some minimal protection from the relentless winds that often rise at dusk. A spot where the sand is firm enough for the camels to rest, where there might be a chance, however slim, of finding some dried scrub for a small fire. As the last rays of sunlight paint the sky in hues of fiery orange and deep purple, the caravan halts. With practiced movements, the camels are unloaded, their heavy burdens carefully set down. You feel a profound sense of release as you unfasten the ropes, your muscles trembling from the day's exertion. The first priority is water for the animals, a critical resource that must be shared judiciously. Camp is made with the same efficiency as it was broken. Small fires are coaxed into life from sparse kindling, their flames flickering weakly against the encroaching twilight. The aroma of a simple meal, dried dates, perhaps some hard bread, a handful of dried meat, fills the air, a comfort after hours of deprivation. You sit with your companions, sharing food, sharing the silence, each understanding the immense physical and mental toll of the day. The conversations that emerge are quiet, reflective. Stories of previous journeys, warnings of dangers ahead, hopes for the markets they will eventually reach. You listen, absorbing the wisdom of those who have faced this crucible countless times before. The camaraderie is not born of shared leisure, but of shared hardship, a bond forged in the unforgiving heart of the desert. As darkness fully descends, the stars reappear, blazing with an intensity unseen in any other place. They are a familiar comfort, a celestial map that guides the caravan by night. The air grows cool once more, a blessed reprieve from the day's inferno. You spread your sleeping mat, wrapping yourself in your heavy cloak, feeling the deep ache in your muscles, the persistent dryness in your throat. But beneath the physical discomfort there is a quiet strength. This desert, this blazing eye, has stripped away the superficial, leaving only the essential. You have faced its challenges, endured its cruelty, and emerged, one more time, resolute. Each sunrise brings new demands, each sunset a testament to your endurance. This is the life of the ancient trader, a crucible that purifies purpose, sharpens survival, and imbues every precious spice with the true cost of its journey. You prepare for another night of sleep, a brief respite before the sun, the blazing eye reclaims its dominion over your world, demanding yet another day of unwavering courage. The brief respite of sleep, a fragile shield against the desert's relentless will, offers only a temporary solace. For even as you rest, the desert holds secrets, not just of endurance but of peril. The sand beneath your heavy cloak is not merely a bed, it is a canvas upon which countless tragedies have unfolded, a vast, silent testament to the dangers that lurk beyond the heat and the thirst. You understand that the sun, though a searing adversary, is often not the most immediate threat to your life or your precious cargo. Other shadows dance among the dunes, shadows far more malicious, far more unpredictable. These are the ghosts of the shifting sands, the dangers that can arise with terrifying speed, turning a difficult journey into a desperate fight for survival. Imagine for a moment the profound vulnerability. You are a small, isolated island of life in an ocean of sand, days, sometimes weeks, from any form of established law or protection. This isolation, this boundless emptiness, is a magnet for those who prey on the desperate and the weary. Bandits, raiders, hardened men who know the desert's secret paths as intimately as you know the feel of your camel's rough hide. They ride in from nowhere, appearing as if conjured from the shimmering heat haze, their faces obscured by turbans, their intentions clear and brutal. You learn to read the subtle signs: a displaced stone, an unusual track, a flicker on the horizon that is not a mirage. Your senses become finely tuned instruments of survival, constantly scanning, constantly alert. The fear is a cold knot in your stomach, tightening with every unexplained sound, every distant cry carried on the wind. When an attack comes, it is swift and merciless. Shouts echo, steel flashes, and the air fills with the cries of men and the panicked bellows of camels. You fight with the desperation of one whose very existence, and the sustenance of your family, depends on the preservation of your caravan and its goods. The loss of a single bale of spice, the death of one trusted camel, can spell ruin. The loss of a comrade, an unbearable weight. You witness the savagery, the cold-blooded efficiency with which these brigands operate, leaving behind only the dead, the broken, and the dust. Yet human predators are not the only terror. The desert itself, in its capricious moods, can unleash forces more formidable than any band of raiders. You have experienced the daily sun, the relentless heat, but nothing truly prepares you for the sudden cataclysmic fury of a full-blown sandstorm. One moment the sky is a brilliant, unforgiving blue. The next, a distant, ominous haze appears on the horizon, growing with terrifying speed, a wall of churning ochre rushing towards you. There is no shelter, no refuge. You can only halt the caravan, force the protesting camels to kneel, and huddle together, covering your face and mouth with your thickest cloth. The wind howls, a demonic shriek that drowns out all other sound. Fine, abrasive sand blasts every exposed inch of skin, stinging like 1,000 tiny needles. It infiltrates your clothes, your nostrils, your ears, finding its way into every crevice. Visibility drops to mere inches. You cannot see the camel next to you, cannot see your own outstretched hand. It feels as though the very world is unraveling, dissolving into a chaotic maelstrom of dust and fury. Breathing becomes a struggle, each inhalation a gritty assault on your lungs. The disorientation is profound, a terrifying loss of bearings as the landscape is utterly transformed, dunes shifting and reforming around you. Hours stretch into an eternity, and when the storm finally begins to abate, leaving behind an eerie stillness, you emerge coated in sand, eyes burning, lungs raspy but alive. The landscape is alien, the familiar landmarks buried or reshaped, demanding a renewed effort to reorient and find your way. And then there are the ground-level deceptions. The desert floor, though seemingly solid, can be a treacherous trap. You learn to recognize the subtle changes in texture, the slight ripple that indicates a patch of quicksand, a watery, shifting death trap where the sand is too fine and saturated to bear weight. A single misstep can plunge a camel or even a man into its depths. The struggle is futile, often only hastening the inevitable as the more you fight, the deeper you sink. The terror of being slowly consumed by the earth, your cries swallowed by the vast silence, is a horror that haunts the sleep of every desert traveler. You must be constantly vigilant, testing the ground, relying on the hard-won experience passed down through generations. Water, the elixir of life, remains a constant, nagging worry, but the danger goes beyond mere thirst. The wells, though marked on ancient maps, are not always reliable. Some might run dry without warning. Others might be poisoned by raiding parties to deter pursuers. To arrive at an anticipated water source only to find it empty or tainted is a blow that can break even the strongest spirit. It is a death sentence delivered by the very land you depend on for survival. You also face the danger of simply getting lost. A slight deviation in course, an error in reading the stars, a misplaced landmark after a sandstorm, and suddenly you are adrift in an endless, featureless expanse. Every direction looks the same, every dune indistinguishable from the next. Hope dwindles with every passing hour, every unseeing step. The sun becomes an executioner, the wind a whisper of your impending demise. Beyond the grand dramatic threats, there are the insidious, smaller perils that accumulate and wear down the body and spirit. A scorpion, camouflaged perfectly against the sand, its sting a searing agony that can bring fever and delirium. A viper, coiled unseen beneath a rock, its bite a slow, agonizing death in the absence of aid. Even a simple cut or scrape in this environment can fester and become a life-threatening infection, far from any healer or medicine. Every morning you inspect your body, your feet, your camels, searching for the telltale signs of trouble. The relentless sun can cause blinding headaches, heatstroke and sunstroke, blurring the line between reality and hallucination. The desert, in its desolate majesty, often plays tricks on the mind. Mirages shimmer on the horizon, tantalizing visions of water and shade that recede as you approach, mocking your thirst. In the deep isolation, your mind can conjure figures, whispers carried on the wind that sound like voices, the shapes of imagined foes or lost loved ones in the distorted dunes. These are the psychological ghosts, the burdens of solitude and extreme stress that test the very sanity of a man. Some whisper of malevolent jinn, spirits of the desert that lure travelers to their doom, their cries echoing in the wadi, their forms shifting like the sand itself. Superstition mixes with reality, adding another layer of fear to an already arduous journey. Each of these dangers individually is formidable. Together they create a crucible of constant vigilance and raw courage. This is the true cost of the journey, the unseen price woven into every strand of silk, every crystal of salt, every fragrant grain of spice that eventually graces the tables of distant empires. It is a price paid not in mere coin, but in sweat, in blood, in the constant gnawing fear, and in the lives of those who vanish without a trace, becoming just another ghost in the shifting sands. You understand, with every fiber of your being, why these ancient goods were so precious. Their true value was not just their exotic origin or their unique properties, but the sheer, agonizing effort and the immense personal risk taken by those who brought them from the heart of the unforgiving desert to the eager markets of the world. Your journey continues, a testament to that unwavering, desperate courage, carrying the silent weight of these perils with every step. You have felt the sun's relentless hammer, tasted the sand on your tongue, and heard the wind's mournful song. You carry the weight of peril with every step. But how, in this vast, featureless expanse, do you find your way? How do you distinguish one dune from another, one horizon from the next, when every direction seems to stretch into an endless, shimmering mirage? The desert is a labyrinth without walls, a map erased by the wind. Yet, these ancient traders navigated its depths with astonishing precision, not with scrolls or compasses, but with an intimate, profound understanding of the world around them. Their wisdom was forged in the furnace of survival, passed down through generations, etched into the very fabric of their being. You lift your gaze as twilight begins to soften the harsh edges of the landscape. The sun dips below the western rim of the world, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple. As the last vestiges of daylight fade, a different kind of map begins to unfold above you. The first pinpricks of light appear, then a scattering, then a brilliant, overwhelming cascade of stars. Here, far from the light pollution of any city, the night sky is a velvet dome studded with diamonds, each one a tiny, ancient lamp. This is your first and most reliable guide. You learn to recognize the familiar patterns, constellations that have served as waypoints for millennia. The North Star, steadfast and unmoving, a fixed point around which the heavens seem to revolve. You track its subtle shift throughout the night, using it to maintain your bearing, to ensure that each dawn finds you a little closer to your destination. The constellations of Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Big Dipper and Little Dipper, become as familiar to you as the lines on your own hand. You watch the moon traverse its path, noting its phase and its position, another celestial clock and compass in one. Even the sun, once a tormentor, becomes a guide. You learn to read its arc across the sky, predicting not just the time of day but your general orientation. The shadow of your own body, cast long in the morning and evening, becomes a simple yet effective directional tool. But the stars are not always visible. Clouds can shroud the sky for days, dust storms can blot out the sun, leaving you adrift in a world of gray. This is where the deeper wisdom of the wastes comes into play, a knowledge gleaned from 1,000 crossings, 1,000,000 observations. You begin to understand the subtle language of the sand itself. Wind shapes the dunes, sculpting them into predictable patterns. You learn to read the ripple marks, the gentle undulations, the sharp crests. The prevailing wind, often constant in its direction, leaves its signature on the landscape, a subtle arrow pointing the way. You learn to interpret the angles of the sun on these formations, discerning direction even when the direct sun is obscured. You listen. The desert is not silent. You hear the whisper of the wind, often carrying the scent of distant vegetation, a hint of moisture, a promise of life. You hear the scurry of unseen creatures, the rustle of dry shrubs. These sounds, faint as they are, become markers, subtle clues in a landscape that seems to offer none. You feel the ground beneath your feet, recognizing variations in its texture. Softer sand might indicate a wadi, a dry riverbed that could lead to an oasis, or harder, packed earth that suggests a more stable, ancient path. The guides who lead these caravans are living maps, their minds repositories of generations of accumulated knowledge. They do not consult charts, they are the charts. They remember every prominent rock formation, every peculiar stand of date palms, every slight rise and fall in the terrain. You hear them recount stories around the campfire, not just for entertainment but as vital mnemonic devices. Beyond the twin peaks that look like sleeping camels, they might say, you will find the ghost tree and 2 days' journey past that, the bitter well. These stories, woven into the very fabric of their culture, are navigational instructions, passed from elder to apprentice, father to son, mother to daughter. You begin to notice the subtle changes in the color of the sand, a slightly reddish hue here, a paler shade there, each marking a different geological region, a different stage on your journey. You learn to identify specific types of desert vegetation, even sparse ones, understanding that a certain type of thorny bush only grows where water is relatively close to the surface, signaling a potential well or a hidden spring. You watch the flight of birds at dawn and dusk. Birds flying in a consistent direction often lead to water sources, their internal compass drawing them to sustenance. The presence of insects, particularly certain kinds of bees or flies, can also betray the proximity of water. Finding water is perhaps the most critical skill, the ultimate expression of desert wisdom. It is not just about stumbling upon an oasis. It is about actively seeking it, interpreting every sign. You learn to recognize the subtle green tinge on a distant horizon that indicates foliage, even if it is miles away. You become attuned to the faint scent of damp earth, carried on the wind. You learn to look for dry wadis, following their winding paths, knowing that ancient riverbeds often conceal water deep beneath the surface, sometimes accessible by digging, sometimes feeding hidden springs. The very air you breathe can offer clues. A slight increase in humidity, a cooler pocket of air, might signal a subterranean reservoir. This is not simply navigation. It is a profound relationship with the environment. You are not an observer. You are part of the desert, learning its rhythms, its whispers, its hidden language. The desert ceases to be a featureless void and transforms into a landscape rich with meaning, a tapestry woven from wind and sand, star and sun. Every element becomes a signpost, every whisper a direction. Your senses sharpen, becoming finely tuned instruments. Your peripheral vision picks up the most subtle variations in the dune patterns. Your hearing isolates the distant call of an animal that signals a change in terrain. Your intuition, honed by constant vigilance, becomes a powerful, almost mystical guide. The concept of being lost takes on a different meaning here. For those who truly master the wastes, being lost is not about lacking a map, but about losing your connection to the desert's pulse. It is a failure of observation, a moment when the subtle clues are missed, when the internal map fails to align with the external reality. The true navigator does not just follow a path. They feel the path, a part of the desert flows through them, informing their every decision. Imagine trying to navigate this world with only a printed map and a compass. It would be useless. The desert laughs at such static representations. Its contours shift, its landmarks vanish, its paths are ephemeral. What these traders carried was not ink on parchment, but a dynamic, living map within their minds, constantly updated by observation, experience, and the collective wisdom of their ancestors. It was a map of instinct, of accumulated knowledge, of profound respect for the power and secrets of the land. This wisdom of the wastes is not merely about survival. It is about thriving, about transforming the most formidable obstacle into a navigable passage. It is the reason these routes existed for centuries, enduring long after empires crumbled and new technologies emerged. It speaks to a deep human ingenuity, a capacity to adapt, learn, and master even the most hostile environments through sheer intelligence and a profound connection to the natural world. You look up again at the expanse of the night sky, a boundless ocean of stars. They are not just distant lights. They are anchors, guides, ancient companions on your journey. And as you prepare to move on, following the silent wisdom of generations, you understand that the true treasures of the desert are not just the spices you carry, but the knowledge, resilience, and profound connection to the earth and sky that this arduous journey has etched into your very soul. You become one with the flow, a silent whisper in the vastness, guided by the wisdom of the wastes. You have journeyed through the whispering sands, guided by the silent wisdom of the wastes. 4 days, the horizon has stretched, an unbroken canvas of gold and sky, and the only music has been the steady pad of your camel's feet and the creak of the saddle. But then a subtle shift begins. The air, once dry and still, seems to carry a faint, almost imperceptible coolness. It is not the breeze from the vast open desert, but something else, something softer, carrying a hint of moisture. You might catch a fleeting scent, a faint earthiness, a sweetness that is not sand or rock. Your experienced guide, his eyes narrowed against the glare, points to a distant, barely visible smudge on the shimmering horizon. At first, it is nothing more than a distortion in the heat haze, a trick of the light. But as you continue, the smudge begins to resolve, to gain form and substance. A darker hue emerges against the pale yellow, a promise of shade and solace. Hope, a fragile seedling, begins to unfurl in your weary heart. The rhythmic sway of your camel feels lighter now, the journey less arduous. The distant smudge slowly transforms into a cluster of dark, slender shapes, reaching skyward. These are the date palms, the sentinels of life, their fronds waving a silent welcome. You feel a profound easing of the tension that has been your constant companion, a physical loosening in your shoulders, a deeper breath in your chest. The desert's relentless embrace is about to yield. As you draw closer, the sounds begin to reach you. The soft rush of water, a symphony of life after the profound silence. The chirping of birds, a chorus that tells of thriving ecosystems. Perhaps the distant bleating of goats, the muffled voices of other travelers, a murmur of human activity. These are not just sounds, they are assurances, affirmations that you have reached a haven, an emerald set in the vast, unforgiving gold. You urge your camel forward, a renewed urgency in your stride. The heat of the sun, though still intense, is tempered by the growing canopy. The ground beneath your feet changes, from loose sand to firmer, perhaps even slightly damp earth. And then you are there. Before you unfurls a verdant paradise. Towering date palms, their trunks rough and gnarled, spread their massive fronds to create cool, inviting pools of shade. Below them, a mosaic of green bursts forth. Lush grasses, low shrubs, perhaps even small gardens meticulously tended. At the heart of it all is the water, the lifeblood of the oasis. It might be a crystal-clear spring bubbling from the earth, or a network of ancient irrigation channels carrying precious liquid to every living thing. The sight of it, the mere existence of it, is a physical sensation, a quenching of a thirst you did not realize was so deep, so absolute. You dismount, your legs stiff from the long ride, but the weariness is swiftly overshadowed by an overwhelming sense of relief and gratitude. Your camel, too, seems to exhale a sigh of contentment, immediately lowering its head to drink deeply from a communal trough, its great sides heaving with satisfaction. You kneel by the water, splashing it onto your face, feeling its cool embrace against your sun-baked skin. It is more than just water. It is purification, rejuvenation, a baptism of renewal. You drink slowly, savoring each drop, feeling it course through your body, banishing the desert's dry grip. This oasis is a miracle, a testament to the earth's stubborn insistence on life. It is not merely a stopping point, it is a world unto itself, a vibrant microcosm sustained by the precious gift of water. Here, the struggle for survival momentarily recedes, replaced by the simple, profound pleasures of rest and replenishment. Under the deep shade of the palms, you find a spot to make camp. The air is cooler, fresher, carrying the scent of damp earth and growing things. You unpack your necessities but with a lighter spirit. The dust of the journey begins to lift, not just from your clothes but from your mind. But an oasis is more than just water and palms. It is a crossroads, a vital node in the intricate network of desert trade. As you settle in, you begin to notice the other caravans that have converged here. Their camels rest nearby, their drivers, a colorful tapestry of cultures and languages, gather around communal fires, sharing stories and news. You see traders from the distant east, their silks and spices still carefully wrapped, alongside merchants from the fertile lands to the west, their pottery and grain stacked high. This is where intelligence is gathered and exchanged. What lies ahead on the next leg of the journey? Is the path clear? Have the shifting sands obscured the markers? Are there any reports of trouble or unexpected dangers? The news travels slowly across these vast distances, carried by word of mouth from one oasis to the next. You listen intently, sifting through the chatter for nuggets of crucial information, perhaps sharing some of your own experiences from the segment you have just traversed. The oasis is also a marketplace, albeit an informal one. You might barter for fresh dates, plump and sweet, a welcome change from dried rations. Perhaps you need to purchase fodder for your animals, or replace a worn saddle strap. Local craftsmen, skilled in working with leather, wood or even rudimentary metal, offer their services. The blacksmith's hammer might ring out, shaping a new tool or mending a broken part. The aroma of cooking fills the air as various groups prepare their evening meals, a delightful contrast to the starkness of the open desert. The people who call this oasis home are remarkable in their resilience and their profound understanding of their environment. They are often desert dwellers themselves, intimately familiar with its rhythms and its secrets. They are the guardians of these precious water sources, the tenders of the palms, the hosts who welcome the weary traveler. Their lives are intertwined with the ebb and flow of the trade routes, their livelihoods often dependent on the commerce and services they provide to the caravans. You might observe them going about their daily routines, drawing water, harvesting dates, weaving mats, their existence a testament to humanity's ability to create a thriving civilization even in the most challenging of landscapes. As the sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, the oasis takes on a magical quality. The air cools further, and the stars begin to emerge, brighter and more numerous than you have ever seen them, framed by the dark silhouettes of the palm trees. Around the fires, the conversations soften, becoming more reflective. You share a meal, perhaps a simple stew, made richer by the camaraderie of shared experience. The stories told here are not just about trade. They are about survival, about the triumphs and trials of facing down the wilderness, about the bonds forged between those who share the same arduous path. You spend a night of deep, restorative sleep, the sounds of the oasis a comforting lullaby. For a precious few hours, the urgency of the journey recedes, allowing your body and mind to truly recover. You wake feeling refreshed, your muscles less stiff, your spirit renewed. The morning at the oasis is a bustle of activity. Caravans prepare to depart, their animals rested and watered, their supplies replenished. You too begin the process of packing, the simple routines feeling less burdensome. You fill your water skins, ensuring every container is full to bursting. You double-check your provisions, knowing that the next stretch of desert will demand every ounce of foresight and preparedness. There is a bittersweet quality to leaving. The comfort and community of the oasis are hard to abandon, but the journey calls. You offer your thanks to the oasis dwellers, perhaps exchanging a small gift or payment for their hospitality. You mount your camel, turning your back on the lush green haven, your eyes once again scanning the horizon for the next distant marker. As the oasis recedes behind you, shrinking back into that initial deceptive smudge on the horizon, you carry with you more than just full water skins and replenished supplies. You carry the memory of its cool shade, its life-giving water, its vibrant energy. You carry the knowledge that even in the most desolate of places, life finds a way to flourish, a tenacious green heart beating in the vastness. The oasis is a physical embodiment of hope, a reminder that resilience is rewarded, and that after every test of endurance, there is the promise of renewal. It strengthens your resolve, imbuing you with the confidence to face the miles of sand that stretch before you, knowing that another emerald of survival awaits, somewhere in the distance. The journey continues, but you are not the same. You carry the desert's wisdom and the oasis's life within you. The journey continues, but you are not the same. You carry the desert's wisdom and the oasis's life within you. But what compels you to face such dangers, to push your limits against the relentless sun and shifting sands? What treasure makes this arduous trek not just bearable but absolutely necessary? It is the cargo, of course. The golden dust of distant lands, nestled securely in bundles and sacks, carefully protected from the elements. This is not gold itself, not silver or precious jewels, at least not primarily. No, the true wealth that propels your caravan forward is far more subtle, yet no less valuable. It is a whisper of faraway forests, a breath of exotic gardens, the concentrated essence of a world beyond the horizon. You reach out, your fingers tracing the coarse weave of a heavy sack, feeling the hard, small peppercorns beneath. You inhale deeply, catching the sharp, pungent scent of a spice that has traveled thousands of miles to reach your eager hands. This is the very heart of your enterprise, the reason you endure the desert's relentless embrace. Imagine a world without refrigeration, a time when food spoiled quickly and lacked vibrant flavor. Spices were not merely luxuries, they were vital necessities. A handful of salt, a pinch of pepper, a sliver of ginger could transform a bland meal into something palatable, something nourishing. More than that, they were master preservers, extending the life of precious meats and fish, making long journeys and harsh winters endurable. You can almost taste the difference, the way a dash of cinnamon transforms a simple stew, or how cloves render meat savory and lasting. This culinary magic, this alchemy of taste and preservation, fueled an insatiable demand from the farthest corners of the known world. Beyond the kitchen, these precious cargoes held even greater sway. They were ancient apothecaries, the healers and curers of 1,000 ailments. You might carry bundles of turmeric, revered for its anti-inflammatory properties, or ginger, believed to soothe a queasy stomach and warm the body against chill. Frankincense and myrrh, those fragrant resins, were not just for perfuming the air. They were potent antiseptics, believed to ward off infection and cleanse wounds. In a time when medicine was rudimentary, these spices and resins were frontline defenses against illness, whispers of hope against the dread of disease. To possess them was to possess a powerful form of protection, a tangible comfort against the uncertainties of life. Then there is the spiritual, the ceremonial. Picture the rising smoke of frankincense in a temple, its sweet, woody aroma carrying prayers skyward. Imagine the purifying scent of myrrh used in rituals, cleansing the body and spirit. These were offerings fit for the gods, perfumes for the living and the dead, their ethereal fragrances believed to bridge the gap between worlds. They elevated the mundane to the sacred, imbuing rituals with a profound sense of sanctity and reverence. The very air around these substances seemed charged with an ancient power, a connection to something deeper and more eternal. And of course there was the undeniable allure of status. A merchant in a distant city, his table laden with dishes seasoned with exotic spices, was a man of immense wealth and influence. The aroma of cinnamon or cardamom wafting from a nobleman's robes proclaimed his access to the most distant and desirable goods. To present a guest with a spiced wine or a perfumed oil was an act of profound hospitality, a testament to one's prosperity. These were not simply commodities. They were badges of honor, symbols of power, aromatic indicators of a life lived at the pinnacle of society. A simple sprinkle of pepper could speak volumes about its owner's place in the world. As you look upon your own cargo, you see a kaleidoscope of textures and colors. The dull gray-brown of peppercorns, sharp and potent. The reddish-brown scrolls of cinnamon bark, brittle and fragrant. The tiny green pods of cardamom, holding seeds bursting with citrusy, floral notes. The dark, sticky clumps of myrrh, redolent of earth and ancient trees. The translucent, golden tears of frankincense, each piece a solidified drop of aromatic sun. These are not heavy like gold, nor bulky like timber. They are compact, incredibly potent, and immeasurably valuable. Their lightness belies their worth, making them the perfect currency to transport across vast and dangerous distances. Every step your camel takes, every mile the caravan covers, brings these precious items closer to their eager buyers. Each grain of sand that blows past your face is a reminder of the enormous effort, the sheer will required to bridge the chasm between their origin and their destination. You are not merely a carrier, you are a vital link in a chain that spans continents, connecting the lush rainforests of the east with the bustling markets of the west. You are a conduit for flavor, for medicine, for spirituality, for wealth. The risks you face are immense. The scorching sun, the biting winds, the ever-present threat of bandits, the endless thirst. Yet, the reward awaiting you at the end of this journey is equally vast. The profits from this golden dust can fund empires, enrich families for generations and build cities. The delicate balance of supply and demand, the fierce competition for these exotic goods, means that every successfully delivered shipment is a triumph, a testament to courage and endurance. You shield your eyes, scanning the shimmering horizon. In your mind, you can already hear the clamor of the marketplace, the excited murmurs of merchants, the clink of coins changing hands. You envision the delicate hands of a perfumer grinding frankincense into a fragrant paste, the careful measure of a cook adding a precious spice to a bubbling pot, the solemn moment when a priest casts myrrh onto burning coals. Each of these small, potent treasures, carried so carefully across a continent of death and beauty, tells a story. It is a story of human ingenuity, of insatiable desire, and of the profound connections forged across a vast and often unforgiving world. You are a part of that story, a silent, determined guardian of the golden dust. You press onward, the rhythmic creak of the camel's saddles a constant lullaby beneath the vast, indifferent sky. For days, perhaps weeks, your world has been a shimmering expanse of sand and rock, punctuated only by the occasional oasis, a momentary emerald against the ochre. It is a lonely existence, this journey across the arid heartland, a test of patience and resolve. Yet the desert is never truly empty. It is a stage for countless dramas, a silent witness to 1,000 human tales, and you, the guardian of your precious cargo, are destined to become a character in many of them. Suddenly, a flicker on the distant horizon. Not a mirage you quickly discern, but a rising plume of dust. Your heart quickens. Is it friend or foe? Another caravan, perhaps, on its own arduous quest for wealth. Or something far more sinister, the approach of raiders, swift as hawks, keen on plundering the fruits of your labor. Your hand instinctively drifts to the hilt of your curved dagger, the familiar weight a small comfort. Your companions too are alert, their gazes fixed on the approaching cloud. The quiet hum of the desert is pierced by hushed whispers, the sharpening of wits. This is the reality of the ancient trade routes. Moments of profound solitude broken by abrupt, often dangerous, encounters. These crossroads, sometimes literal intersections of desert paths, more often metaphorical meeting points of human destinies, define the journey as much as the destination. They are where stories are born, etched into the memories of those who survive them. You recall the wisdom shared around countless campfires. Trust few, observe all, and always keep your wits sharper than your blade. Your first encounter might be with fellow traders, a welcome sight after endless days of isolation. Perhaps a caravan traveling in the opposite direction, bringing news from the bustling ports of the north, tales of prices, politics, and perils ahead. You might exchange pleasantries, share water from a precious skin, or even trade small necessities. A broken tool for a length of rope, a handful of dried dates for a rare medicinal herb. These moments foster a fleeting camaraderie, a shared understanding of the hardships you both face. You are all bound by the invisible threads of commerce, the common pursuit of distant riches. But not all encounters are benign. You remember the tales of the Hashishin, the ruthless mountain dwellers who would descend like shadows, their demands backed by the glint of steel. Or the Bedouin, nomadic tribesmen who, depending on their mood or your luck, might offer safe passage for a hefty fee, or simply take what they desired, leaving you with nothing but the dust and the bitter taste of defeat. Protection was paramount. Many caravans traveled under armed guard, mercenaries whose loyalty was bought with coin, men hardened by the unforgiving desert, their eyes constantly scanning the shifting dunes. You too have seen their grim faces, felt the tension in the air as they rode point, their spears glinting in the harsh sunlight. Imagine a night camp, the flickering firelight casting dancing shadows on the faces of your companions. The silence is profound, broken only by the crackle of the flames and the distant howl of a jackal. Suddenly, a cry from the sentry. Figures emerge from the darkness, their faces obscured by scarfs, their intentions unknown. It is a moment of stark terror where survival hangs by a thread. Do you fight? Do you negotiate? Do you flee? The decisions made in such desperate moments forge the legends whispered down through generations. You have heard of caravans decimated, their precious cargo scattered to the winds, their bones bleaching under the sun. And you have heard of heroic stands, of cunning deceptions, of narrow escapes that defied belief. These crossroads are also where you meet the gatekeepers, the local rulers or their appointed tax collectors, demanding tribute for safe passage through their territories. There is no escaping them. You must pay, negotiate, or face the consequences. Often, It is a game of subtle power, of haggling and persuasion, where the value of a camel, a bale of frankincense, or a handful of silver coins can mean the difference between smooth passage and a lengthy, costly delay. You learn to read the faces of these officials, to gauge their greed, to understand the intricate local politics that dictate their demands. A well-placed gift, a carefully chosen word, can often soften the harshest decree. Then there are the encounters with nature itself, not always a silent backdrop, but an active, formidable presence. A sudden sandstorm, a blinding wall of grit and wind, can engulf a caravan in minutes, disorienting men and beasts, burying pathways and leaving you utterly lost. You might stumble upon an unexpected wadi, a dry riverbed suddenly transformed into a raging torrent by a distant rain, blocking your path for days. Or the elusive wildlife, a pack of desert wolves circling at the edge of your camp, their eyes gleaming in the dark, a venomous snake hidden beneath a rock, a constant, silent threat. These are not just obstacles, but tests of your resilience, your ability to adapt, to push through the fear and the exhaustion. The tales from the trail are not just of danger but also of wonder. You might meet mystics or holy men, hermits living in remote caves, who offer prophecies or blessings in exchange for a meager offering. You might encounter pilgrims on their sacred journeys, their fervent devotion a stark contrast to your own mercantile pursuits, yet a shared human experience under the same vast sky. These meetings, however brief, can leave a lasting impression, a reminder of the diverse tapestry of life woven into the fabric of the desert. Consider the human element within your own caravan. Day after day, week after week, you are bound together by a common purpose, a shared vulnerability. You learn the quirks of your companions, the strengths and weaknesses of each man. The grizzled veteran who can read the subtle signs of the wind, predicting a storm hours before it breaks. The young apprentice, eager but inexperienced, who needs constant guidance. The quiet cook, whose simple meals are a source of immense comfort and morale. The bond forged in the crucible of the desert is a powerful one, born of mutual dependence and shared hardship. You might argue over water rations, grumble about a slow pace, or share the last morsel of food in a moment of dire need. Laughter erupts around the campfire, stories are told, songs are sung, momentarily lifting the burden of the journey. In this small, mobile community, you find both friction and profound solidarity. You remember the old merchant from Saba, his face a roadmap of sun-baked wrinkles, who once told you a story. He spoke of a time when his caravan was stalked for days by a rival group, intent on ambushing them. Instead of fleeing, he had his men leave small, distinctive markers along the trail, a broken pottery shard, a peculiar stone arrangement. He knew his pursuers would recognize them, believing they were being taunted. Then one night he intentionally left a clear trail leading to a narrow, treacherous canyon. His pursuers, fueled by anger and overconfidence, followed. The next morning his caravan was well on its way, having taken a different path, while the rivals were trapped, lost and disoriented in the canyon. It was a tale of cunning and psychological warfare, a reminder that the mind could be as potent a weapon as any blade. Another time a young woman traveling alone with her camel, sought refuge with your caravan. She was a storyteller, a wandering minstrel, her melodies and tales enchanting the weary travelers each night. Her presence was a balm, a temporary escape from the harsh realities of the trail. When she eventually departed at a remote oasis, leaving behind a profound sense of loss, she left you with a new song, a melody of resilience and hope, a reminder that beauty and art could thrive even in the most desolate places. These are the crossroads. Not just places on a map, but moments in time where lives intersect, where decisions are made, where fortunes are won or lost. They are the proving ground for your character, the forge where legends are hammered into existence. Each encounter, whether with a friendly face, a menacing shadow, or a challenging force of nature, adds another thread to the rich tapestry of your journey. You carry not just spices and incense, but a growing collection of experiences, of lessons learned, of stories waiting to be told. The desert may be vast and silent, but it echoes with the whispers of these tales, a testament to the enduring human spirit that dares to cross its formidable expanse. You feel the slight shift in the air, a subtle change in the scent on the wind. It hints at moisture, at distant life. Your journey continues, but your perspective has broadened, enriched by the encounters at these unforgettable crossroads. Each sunrise brings not just another day of travel, but the possibility of another story waiting to unfold. And then, one morning, as the sun paints the eastern sky in hues of rose and gold, it is not just another day of travel. It is the day. A speck on the horizon begins to grow, defying the shimmering mirages that have played tricks on your eyes for weeks. It is not an oasis, not a temporary encampment, but something far grander, something permanent and vast. It is the city, the promised land, your destination. You feel a surge of exhilaration, a deep tremor of relief that travels from your tired feet up through your weary body. The long weeks of desert, the endless dunes, the scorching sun, the biting winds, the ever-present threat of desolation, they all begin to recede, replaced by the rising promise of civilization. As you draw closer, the indistinct blur resolves into tangible shapes. Impressive walls of sun-baked mud brick, watchtowers standing sentinel, the glint of distant rooftops. You begin to discern the faint, then stronger sounds carried on the breeze, the distant lowing of cattle, the barking of a dog, the faint murmur of human voices, a clatter that could be a craftsman at work. This symphony of life, so absent in the silent desert, is a welcome song to your ears. The air itself undergoes a dramatic transformation. No longer just dust and dry heat, it now carries a complex tapestry of scents. First, a hint of wood smoke, then the unmistakable aroma of baking bread. As you continue, the layers deepen. You catch the sweet, heady fragrance of jasmine, the earthy note of damp soil, the sharp tang of curing leather, and beneath it all, an almost imperceptible undercurrent that sparks a new excitement within you, the subtle, interwoven perfumes of countless spices. This, you realize, is the scent of a thriving ancient metropolis, a crossroads of the world. The city gates loom large, formidable yet inviting. They are not merely an entrance but a transition point, a portal between worlds. Here, life pulses with an intensity that seems almost overwhelming after the stark simplicity of the desert. Guards in worn but sturdy uniforms eye you with a practiced gaze, their expressions unreadable as you present your papers, your purpose. You are another face in a stream of merchants, travelers, and pilgrims all seeking entry, all drawn to the magnetic pull of this place. Once inside, the world explodes into a riot of color, sound, and most powerfully, aroma. The dusty track you have followed gives way to paved streets, uneven but solid beneath your feet. The narrow alleys wind and twist, each turn revealing a new tableau. Buildings rise on either side, some multi-storied, adorned with intricate carvings and vibrant frescoes. Shop fronts spill their wares onto the street, creating a vibrant, chaotic display. The air is thick with the chatter of a dozen languages, the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the cries of street vendors hawking their goods, the gentle braying of donkeys laden with cargo. Children dart between the legs of adults, their laughter echoing off the ancient walls. Women in brightly colored garments haggle over prices, their voices rising and falling in musical cadences. And the smells. Oh, the smells. This truly is the city of 1,000 aromas. It is an intoxicating blend that delights and overwhelms your senses. You walk past a bakery and the warm, comforting scent of freshly baked flatbread and sesame oil washes over you. A few steps further, the intense, almost medicinal pungency of frankincense and myrrh from a perfumer's stall fills your nostrils. Then the rich, earthy notes of freshly ground coffee beans mingle with the sweet, sugary perfume of dates and figs. As you delve deeper into the city's heart, You reach the souk, the sprawling marketplace that is the beating heart of this ancient trading hub. Here, the air practically shimmers with the concentrated essence of global commerce. Stalls are piled high with an astonishing array of goods from every corner of the known world. Bolts of silk from the distant east shimmer in shades of sapphire and ruby. Finely wrought silver jewelry catches the light. Hand-knotted carpets display intricate patterns that tell stories of far-off lands. Pottery, glazed in vibrant blues and greens, gleams invitingly. But it is the spice section that truly captivates you, the very reason for your arduous journey. You walk among mounds of cinnamon sticks, their fragrant bark a warm, spicy invitation. Small wooden boxes overflow with precious saffron threads, their deep crimson hue a testament to their rarity and value. Heaps of black peppercorns, glossy and pungent, sit beside lighter-colored grains of white pepper. You see vivid yellow turmeric, fiery red chili flakes, aromatic cloves, and delicate star anise. The air here is so saturated with these potent fragrances that you can almost taste them. Each scent tells a story of distant fields, of painstaking harvests, of long journeys across treacherous seas and scorching deserts. You notice the merchants, their faces etched with the wisdom of generations of trade. Some are local, their families having sold spices in this very market for centuries. Others are fellow travelers, recent arrivals from distant lands, just like you, eager to sell their exotic wares or replenish their supplies. They sit cross-legged on woven mats, sipping strong, sweet tea from small glasses, their eyes sharp and their smiles ready. Your attention is drawn to a stall presided over by an older merchant with kind eyes and a flowing white beard. His stall is meticulously arranged, a testament to his pride in his goods. He offers you a small wooden bowl filled with a handful of what you know to be the finest quality frankincense, freshly harvested and prepared. You inhale deeply, the resinous, lemony, slightly pine-like aroma instantly transporting you to the sacred groves where it was born. He gestures for you to taste a tiny sliver, a common practice among connoisseurs. The taste is bitter at first, then resinous and cleansing. This is the moment of truth. Your hard-won cargo, the culmination of months of effort and risk, is about to be traded for something new, something that will carry you through the next leg of your journey. You begin the dance of negotiation. It is a subtle art, a blend of polite banter, careful observation, and a deep understanding of market value. You praise his goods, he praises yours. You offer a price, he counters with a higher one. The back and forth is not aggressive, but rather a practiced ritual, a conversation that builds trust as much as it determines value. You speak in measured tones, knowing that a hasty word or a sign of impatience can be costly. You recall the stories of your elders, the lessons learned from countless transactions. You describe the purity of your myrrh, the unique properties of the resins you have brought. He listens intently, occasionally nodding, sometimes offering a skeptical raise of an eyebrow. Finally, after a period that could be mere minutes or what feels like an hour, a consensus is reached. Hands are shaken and agreement cemented. A feeling of satisfaction washes over you, a sense of accomplishment far deeper than mere profit. You have not just completed a transaction, you have participated in an ancient tradition, a human connection forged across vast distances. As the day begins to wane, casting long shadows across the bustling market, you arrange for the storage of your newly acquired goods and make plans for your next journey. The city, with its cacophony and its countless perfumes, settles into a different rhythm. The aroma of cooking fires replaces the sharp scents of the marketplace. The calls of merchants fade, replaced by the gentle strumming of a lute from a nearby tavern, or the quiet murmur of families gathering for their evening meal. You find yourself in a caravanserai, a merchant's inn, its courtyard a hive of activity as other traders unpack their animals and prepare for the night. Here, you share stories with fellow travelers, exchanging news and warnings from the roads you have all traveled. The air is still fragrant, but now it is a softer, more blended tapestry of food, incense, and the lingering presence of all the goods exchanged that day. You reflect on the vast network of trade that binds these disparate parts of the world. This city is not merely a destination, it is a vital nexus, a heart pumping the lifeblood of commerce through the veins of continents. It is here that the treasures of one land become the desires of another. It is here that the tales of the desert meet the legends of the sea. It is here that your journey, a perilous trek across a death desert for spices, finds its profound meaning, its rich reward. The bustling caravanserai, once a vibrant welcome, now buzzes with a different energy. You have secured your precious cargo, traded your desert-born spices for new treasures from distant lands. Perhaps bolts of shimmering silk from the east, or intricate glassware from the Mediterranean coast, or even rare pigments that will transform into magnificent works of art. Your camels, well rested and fed, are once again laden, their grunts and groans familiar sounds in the morning chill. You supervise the loading, ensuring every bundle is secured, every jar cushioned. The haggling is done, the deal struck, and the perilous journey behind you has yielded its desired fruit. Now, a new journey awaits, a reversal of fortune and direction. The city, which once seemed a distant dream, now recedes into memory as you prepare to retrace your steps. The thought of home, of family, of familiar faces and hearth fires, settles warmly in your chest, a new kind of fuel for the road ahead. You bid farewell to newfound acquaintances, to the merchants whose paths you may or may not cross again. The air is still filled with the scent of 1,000 different lives, but your senses are already turning inward, toward the path you know you must take. The desert, once an unknown terror, now feels like a challenge overcome, a terrain understood. You mount your lead camel, the familiar sway of its gait a comfort rather than a novelty. Leaving the city gates, you turn your back on the vibrant markets, the towering temples, the labyrinthine alleys. The sun, already climbing high, casts long shadows behind you, pointing the way home. The first few days are a mirror image of your arrival, navigating the fringes of civilization, the last outpost before the true wilderness begins again. You pass by small villages, where the sight of a laden caravan still draws curious stares, but now you are a traveler returning, not one venturing forth. As the paved roads give way to dusty tracks, and the tracks fade into the endless sand, the familiar rhythm of the desert reasserts itself. The silence, once intimidating, now feels like an old friend. The vast expanse, once threatening, now holds a profound beauty. You scan the horizon, recognizing the subtle shifts in the dunes, the faint outlines of distant rock formations. These are landmarks etched into your memory, guiding you home. You recall the fear you felt on your outward journey, the gnawing anxiety of the unknown, the whispers of the death desert. But now those echoes are softer, tinged with the pride of having faced them, of having survived. You remember the parched throat, the searing sun, the illusions that danced on the distant horizon. You remember the moments of doubt, the longing for water, the endless stretch of sand that seemed to swallow all hope. Yet this return journey feels different. You carry not just precious goods, but also the invaluable experience of having conquered the impossible. Your senses are sharper, your instincts honed. You know when to push, when to rest, when to trust the subtle signs of the desert wind. The fear has been replaced by respect, a deep understanding of this formidable land. You have learned its language, the nuanced shifts in temperature, the patterns of the stars that guide you through the darkest nights. At night, under the vast, star-strewn canopy, you still gather with your fellow travelers. The stories now are not of anticipation, but of reflection. You share tales of the city, of the fortunes made and lost, of the strange sights and sounds encountered. There is a quiet satisfaction in the camaraderie, a bond forged in shared hardship and triumphant return. You sip hot tea, the warmth spreading through your body, and look up at the familiar constellations, each one a compass point leading you steadily toward home. The cargo you carry back is not just for sale, it is a tangible representation of your courage, your perseverance. Each bolt of silk, each jar of exotic perfume, each piece of finely crafted jewelry, holds the story of your journey. They are trophies of your venture into the heart of the unknown, proof of your success in the face of daunting odds. As the days turn into weeks, the desert begins to soften its edges. The sand gives way to more scrubland than sparse grasses. The air cools slightly, and the scent of distant water becomes more frequent, not a mirage but a promise. You begin to see more signs of human habitation, isolated shepherd camps, faint smoke trails rising in the distance, the occasional traveler on horseback, not part of a caravan, but journeying between nearby settlements. The anticipation grows with each passing mile. You find yourself scanning the horizon not for the next challenge, but for the first familiar landmark of your home region. Perhaps it is a specific mountain range, its jagged peaks etched against the sky, or a particular riverbed, now dry, that once marked the boundary of your childhood world. The desert, which once seemed endless, now feels finite, a challenging but traversable bridge between two worlds. Your mind drifts to the moment of arrival. The dust-covered faces of your family, their anxious waiting turning to joyous relief. The sound of children's laughter, the embrace of your spouse, the pride in your parents' eyes. You imagine the unloading of the camels, the eager hands helping to carry the new treasures into your home. The stories you will tell, of the vast marketplaces, the exotic faces, the incredible wealth you have seen and brought back. You will describe the golden light of the desert sunrise, the terrifying beauty of a sandstorm, the silent vigil of the stars. You will recount the close calls, the clever solutions, the moments of despair and the resurgence of hope. These stories, more than the goods themselves, are the true treasures of your journey. They will be told and retold, shaping the legends of your family, inspiring the next generation to perhaps undertake their own ventures. The journey has changed you. The boy who set out, full of ambition and trepidation, has returned a man of experience, wisdom, and quiet confidence. The desert has carved new lines into your face, hardened your hands, and sharpened your gaze. But it has also expanded your soul, filled your mind with images of the world beyond your village, and deepened your understanding of human resilience. You carry within you the echoes of the wind, the sun, and the endless sand. Finally, a gasp escapes your lips, or perhaps a silent, heartfelt sigh. There it is. The familiar line of trees, the distant glint of a river you know well, the smoke curling from hearths that are yours. The death desert has been crossed twice now and you have returned. The final miles are covered with a renewed energy, a buoyant lightness that defies the long months of travel. As you approach the gates of your hometown, the familiar sounds wash over you. The barking of dogs, the chatter of voices, the scent of cooking fires. You are no longer just a trader, you are a living legend, a bridge between the known and the unknown. Your companions cheer, and the villagers rush out to greet you, their faces alight with curiosity and welcome. The spices you carried outward have transformed into new possibilities, new wealth, new stories. The perilous journey, which once felt like a gamble with death, has proven to be a profound investment in life itself. You have brought back more than just goods. You have brought back the world, a richer understanding of its vastness and its interconnectedness. The echoes of your journey will resonate not just in your own heart, but in the lives of those you have touched, a testament to the enduring spirit of the ancient traders who dared to cross the death desert for spices, and found so much more along the way. Your journey has ended, but its story has just begun. You stand at the edge of the known world, having dared the impossible. But the true measure of your daring, the profound consequence of those grains of cinnamon and cloves, extends far beyond your personal triumph. Your journey, and the countless others like it across millennia, did not merely fill markets, it sculpted civilizations. Imagine the world before these intrepid voyages, before the death desert was crisscrossed by daring caravans. A collection of disparate peoples, perhaps, with localized knowledge and limited horizons. Then the spice routes began to hum with activity. Consider first the economic earthquakes these journeys triggered. The demand for exotic flavors, for preservatives, for medicines, and for perfumes in distant lands created an entirely new global economy. Empires rose and fell on the currents of this trade. Cities, once mere outposts, bloomed into bustling metropolises, their marketplaces a vibrant symphony of tongues and textiles. Alexandria, Petra, Palmyra, Antioch, Guangzhou, Calicut. These were not just points on a map. They were nodes of innovation, wealth, and power, born from the simple desire for something rare and aromatic. You see the merchants, with their sharp minds and keen eyes, accumulating fortunes, not just in gold and silver, but in the very commodities that fueled this exchange. They innovated financial systems, developing letters of credit and early forms of banking to manage the vast sums involved and to mitigate the risks of long-distance trade. Wealth flowed from the pockets of European nobles and Roman emperors into the coffers of distant Eastern kingdoms, creating a sophisticated network of commerce that spanned continents. This flow of wealth was not just about luxury goods. It was the lifeblood of technological advancement and urban development. Imagine the ships built, larger and sturdier, to brave the monsoon winds of the Indian Ocean, or the resilient camels bred for the endless sands of Arabia. Each advancement in transportation, navigation, or storage was spurred by the relentless pull of the spice trade. New techniques in map-making, astronomy, and even mathematics were honed to make these perilous journeys safer and more efficient. The very infrastructure of these trading empires, roads, bridges, harbors, warehouses, was a testament to the colossal economic engine powered by pepper and cardamom. You walk through a city whose very existence owes its beginnings to the quest for flavor, where every stone and arch whispers tales of trade and transformation. Beyond economics, the cultural landscape was irrevocably altered. Spices, by their very nature, necessitated interaction. When you exchanged goods, you also exchanged ideas. Think of the religions that spread along these routes. Buddhism, for example, traveled from India across Central Asia and into China, carried not just by monks, but by merchants who sought safe passage and shared beliefs with their trading partners. Later, Islam would follow a similar path, weaving its way through the Middle East, North Africa, and into Southeast Asia, its tenets spreading alongside the caravans of frankincense and myrrh. The mosques, temples, and monasteries that punctuate these ancient routes are silent witnesses to this spiritual migration. Consider the languages. Along the Silk Road and the spice routes, Aramaic, Greek, Persian, Arabic, Sanskrit, and Chinese mingled and merged. Merchants often became polyglots by necessity, their vocabulary a rich tapestry woven from diverse tongues. This linguistic exchange facilitated not just commerce, but also the sharing of literature, philosophy, and scientific knowledge. You might have heard snippets of poetry recited in a desert caravanserai, or discussed the principles of astronomy with a scholar from a faraway land, all sparked by the common ground of trade. Then there is the culinary revolution. It seems almost trivial now, but before the spice routes, many European cuisines were bland, relying heavily on salt for preservation and flavor. The arrival of pepper, cloves, nutmeg, and ginger sparked an explosion of culinary creativity. Suddenly, food was not just sustenance. It was an art form, a symbol of status, and a vehicle for cultural expression. Think of the vibrant curries of India, the complex stews of the Middle East, or the spiced wines of medieval Europe. All bear the indelible mark of these ancient journeys. You taste a dish today, perhaps a familiar curry or a gingerbread cookie, and unknowingly, you are savoring the legacy of those who braved the desert for these precious ingredients. Technology too hitched a ride on these caravans. Paper, gunpowder, printing techniques, all originating in China, made their way westward along the trade routes, carried by merchants eager for new goods and new ideas. The concept of zero, essential for modern mathematics, traveled from India to the Middle East and then into Europe. Medical knowledge, astronomical observations, and agricultural techniques were shared and adapted across vast distances. The world became interconnected not just through goods, but through a constant, dynamic exchange of human ingenuity. The political ramifications were equally profound. Control over the spice routes was synonymous with power. Empires like the Roman, the Parthian, the Abbasid Caliphate, the Mongol Empire, and later European colonial powers, all understood that dominating these arteries of commerce meant economic supremacy and geopolitical influence. Battles were fought, treaties were signed, and vast military expeditions were launched, all in the name of securing access to these precious commodities. The very geography of power shifted with the opening and closing of trade routes, dictating the rise and fall of dynasties and nations. You can almost hear the clash of swords and the rumble of armies echoing through the passes, all for a handful of pepper. Cities like Venice and Genoa, for example, rose to immense power during the Middle Ages by controlling the lucrative European end of the spice trade, funneling goods from the Levant into the burgeoning markets of the West. Their wealth allowed them to build formidable navies, fund elaborate artistic and architectural projects, and exert significant diplomatic sway. Their legacy, etched in grand palaces and bustling ports, is a direct result of the ancient caravans that snaked across the deserts and the ships that sailed the treacherous seas. Even the everyday aspects of life were transformed. Fashion, for example, was influenced by the vibrant dyes and luxurious fabrics that traveled alongside the spices. The very air of a wealthy home in ancient Rome or medieval Europe would have been scented with exotic perfumes and incense, all products of these trade networks. The human desire for beauty, luxury, and comfort fueled a demand that in turn fueled these immense undertakings. As you reflect on your own arduous journey, you begin to grasp its place within this grand historical tapestry. You were not just carrying goods. You were a vital thread in a complex web that connected humanity. Each grain of spice, each ounce of silk, each bundle of incense carried within it the potential for immense change, economic prosperity, cultural exchange, technological advancement, and even political upheaval. The world you inhabit today, with its globalized economy, its interconnected cultures, its shared technologies, and its diverse cuisines, is a direct descendant of those ancient trade routes. The idea of a global village, where goods and ideas flow freely across borders, began not with modern inventions, but with the courage of men and women who dared to cross the death desert for spices. They built bridges, not of stone, but of commerce and curiosity, linking disparate peoples and forging a shared human story. Their legacy is not merely in the wealth they accumulated or the empires they served. It is etched into the very fabric of our modern world. It is in the coffee you drink, the spices in your food, the stories you read, and the languages you encounter. It is in the underlying principles of international trade and diplomacy that govern nations today. The ancient traders, with their perseverance and vision, laid the groundwork for the interconnected world we inhabit. They showed us that the greatest treasures are not just the goods themselves, but the connections forged and the understanding gained through daring to venture beyond the horizon. Your journey may be over, but the echoes of its kind continue to shape everything around us, a constant reminder of how a longing for spice forever changed the course of human civilization. The longing for spice, a desire born of taste and preservation, forged a new world. But what of the trails themselves? These were not mere lines on a map, ephemeral tracks in the sand. No, they were conduits of profound transformation, threads woven into the very tapestry of time. You might imagine them now, stretching out across sun-baked earth, disappearing into distant horizons. Yet, these trails endure not always as visible paths, but as persistent echoes, as foundational patterns shaping the world you inhabit even today. Think of the Silk Road. Not a single road, but a vast network, a web of paths and passages that snaked across continents for millennia. You trace its phantom course from the bustling markets of Sienne, through the stark beauty of the Gobi Desert, over the towering Pamir Mountains, and into the Fertile Crescent, ultimately reaching the Mediterranean shores. Along these routes, you see not just merchants and camels, but caravans laden with ideas, with artistic styles, with religious philosophies. You witness the migration of technologies, the sharing of agricultural practices, the intermingling of languages. Consider the spice routes by sea. You stand on a dhow, its lateen sail billowing as it cuts through the azure waters of the Arabian Sea. The scent of frankincense and myrrh mingles with the salty spray. You journey from the tropical islands of Indonesia, carrying cloves and nutmeg, through the Strait of Malacca, past the shores of India and up the Red Sea. These are not just shipping lanes. They are corridors of cultural exchange, where sailors from different lands learned each other's songs, shared each other's food, and even married into each other's families. You hear the polyglot chatter in port cities like Aden and Alexandria, vibrant hubs where the world converged. These timeless trails, whether carved into the earth by countless footsteps or charted across the open ocean by celestial navigation, represent a saga of human perseverance. It is a story told not in a single book, but in the layered histories of countless cities, in the genetic makeup of diverse populations, and in the enduring presence of flavors in your kitchen. You may think these ancient paths are dead, buried beneath the sands of time or paved over by modern highways. Yet their ghosts walk among us. The very concept of international trade, the complex supply chains that bring goods from one corner of the globe to your doorstep, these are direct descendants of those arduous journeys. The desire for exotic goods, the drive to connect distant markets, the spirit of entrepreneurial adventure, these are timeless forces. Imagine you are a contemporary trader moving goods across borders today. You might use container ships, cargo planes, or high-speed trains. The modes of transport have changed dramatically, but the fundamental impulse remains the same: to bridge distance, to meet demand, to exchange value. You are, in a very real sense, walking in the footsteps of those ancient spice traders. You are part of the enduring saga. Let us delve deeper into how these trails literally shape the physical world. You see the ruins of caravanserai, fortified in spaced a day's journey apart, still dotting the ancient desert routes. These were havens of rest and commerce, places where weary travelers could find water, food, and protection. Imagine stepping into one of these today, the cool stone walls offering respite from the relentless sun. You can almost hear the low murmur of voices, the clatter of coins, the braying of camels, echoing through the empty courtyards. These structures stand as silent monuments to the immense human effort and infrastructure required to sustain such long-distance trade. Then consider the growth of cities. Many of the world's most historically significant urban centers sprang up at crucial junctures along these trails. Think of Samarkand, a jewel of the Silk Road, a crossroads where East met West, where scholars and artists exchanged ideas. You walk through its ancient squares, gaze at its magnificent madrasas, and understand that its very existence was a testament to the flow of goods and people. Similarly, Venice, the great maritime republic, rose to prominence by orchestrating the flow of spices and luxury goods from the East into Europe. You glide through its canals, past palatial merchant homes, and realize that every stone, every bridge, every ripple on the water, tells a story of trade. These enduring trails were not just economic arteries, they were cultural superhighways. You trace the spread of Buddhism from India into China, carried by monks who journeyed alongside merchants. You see the vibrant artistic traditions of Persia influencing Chinese ceramics, and Chinese silk finding its way into Roman wardrobes. The very concept of cultural diffusion, the blending and merging of different traditions, was accelerated and amplified by these constant movements across the trails. Consider the spread of writing systems. The Aramaic script, for example, traveled far and wide along these trade routes, influencing the development of numerous other scripts across Asia. You are reading words right now, and the very alphabet you use has an ancestry that winds its way back through millennia of human communication, often facilitated by the need for traders to keep records, to negotiate, and to communicate across linguistic barriers. The saga also encompasses the darker aspects, the challenges that forced innovation and resilience. You contend with harsh climates, with treacherous mountain passes and unforgiving deserts. You face bandits and raiders, constantly needing to be vigilant, to negotiate safe passage, or to defend your precious cargo. These threats were not mere inconveniences. They were existential challenges that honed the skills of the traders, forcing them to become astute negotiators, skilled navigators, and resourceful survivors. Think of the technological advancements spurred by these trails. The development of more robust ships, the refinement of navigation techniques, the invention of paper money, the improvement of cartography, these were all responses to the demands of long-distance trade. You might take for granted the compass in your phone, but its ancestors were vital tools for those ancient mariners navigating featureless oceans. You rely on sophisticated financial instruments today, but the concept of credit, of banking, of bills of exchange, all have roots in the need to facilitate transactions across vast distances without carrying huge quantities of physical coin. The enduring saga of the timeless trails is a testament to the persistent human drive to overcome barriers. It is a story of curiosity, of the desire to know what lies beyond the next dune, beyond the next horizon. It is a story of cooperation, of different peoples learning to coexist and collaborate for mutual benefit, even amidst cultural differences and occasional conflicts. You are a beneficiary of this saga. The flavors in your kitchen, the materials in your clothes, the ideas in your mind, the very structure of your globalized world, all bear the indelible imprint of those ancient journeys. The pepper on your table, the cinnamon in your dessert, the ginger in your tea, these are not just commodities. They are direct threads connecting you to a lineage of intrepid explorers, daring merchants, and countless individuals who risked everything to bring the distant near. The trails, in their essence, never truly vanished. They transformed. The camel paths gave way to paved roads, the dhows to container ships, the caravanserai to modern logistics centers. But the fundamental flow, the ceaseless movement of goods and ideas and people, continues unabated. You are part of this flow whether you are consciously aware of it or not. Consider the resilience of culture along these routes. Despite centuries of change, you can still find communities along the ancient Silk Road where traditions, languages, and even culinary practices echo those of 1,000 years ago. You taste a dish in Central Asia and recognize spices that traveled there from Southeast Asia centuries before. You hear music that blends influences from Persia and China, a living testament to the exchange facilitated by these trails. The saga also reminds you of the profound human capacity for adaptation. As political landscapes shifted, as empires rose and fell, the traders found new paths, forged new alliances, and adapted their strategies. You see this resilience in every era, in every challenge they faced. They were not merely passive carriers of goods. They were active agents of change, shaping and reshaping the world around them through their relentless pursuit of connection. So, when you next savor a meal, consider the journey of each ingredient. When you look at a map, consider the unseen routes that connect every corner of the globe. When you encounter a new idea, remember the ancient paths that facilitated the spread of knowledge. The enduring saga of the timeless trails is not just history. It is a living, breathing force that continues to shape your present and inform your future. You are a part of its unfolding story, a story of connection, courage, and the relentless human spirit that dared to cross the death desert for spices, and in doing so, brought the world closer together.